new knitter, there is such a drive and such an urgency to knit more quickly. You just got started, you see all these gorgeous patterns online, sweaters, scarves, hats, and you just think to yourself, if only I had a closet full of handmade sweaters, a drawer full of socks, I would be so happy. I want a handmade wardrobe. I want to wear something I knit every day. That feeling of wanting to just speed up your knitting so that you can get more and more projects under your belt is so strong and so urgent. Now you might be surprised by this one, but I don't think continental knitting is the secret to knitting faster. I think the misunderstanding, or the reason most folks think continental is faster, is because I notice a lot of new knitters dropping their yarn in between every stitch and then picking it up again for English style knitting. Whereas in continental, you're kind of forced to tension your yarn as you're picking it through. If you are an English style knitter and you're dropping your yarn every time you take a stitch, try learning how to tension your yarn English style and see if that speeds things up for you. But I truly think the method that is the most comfortable for you is the method that you're going to be the faster at, and it doesn't have to be continental. Same thing goes for wooden versus metal needles. Are metal needles faster than wood? Incrementally. But if you're a new knitter and you find that your stitches are slipping off the needle because the metal needles are so slippery and it's really frustrating you and you keep having to put the needles back on, the metal needles are not the right choice for you. You're going to make more progress on wooden needles that have a little bit more grip. Use what is comfortable for you. At the end of the day, if you are putting in more time on your knitting with wooden needles, you're going to get more done than someone working less time on metal needles. So work with what's comfortable for you. Now, one hack I think there's some truth to is I do love my interchangeable needle sets. Whatever interchangeable set you have a superpower. Make the needle in your left hand 1 to 2 sizes smaller than the needle in your right hand. The needle in your right hand is going to determine the size of your stitches. The needle in your left hand has no impact. So you can drop that needle size down 1 or 2 and it just makes those stitches slide off your left needle like butter. So smooth. I find that it's something I've been enjoying doing on almost every project, just dropping that left hand needle size down 1 or 2 and really experiencing like no tension with every stitch. It's lovely. Highly recommend. This only works knitting in the round, does not work knitting flat. Another practical way to like power through projects more quickly is to use chunkier yarn and chunkier needles. And I was such a hater. For years, I was such a hater about chunky yarn and needles. The amount of stitches to the inch, physically, the amount of stitches to the inch is fewer. You only need 2 to 3 stitches to fill an inch. Whereas with worsted weight or even fingering weight yarn, you're talking about 4, 5, 7, 8 stitches to the inch. You're covering double the ground. So you can make a lot more progress. Bulky hat, bulky scarf, that's another tip. Accessory knitting. New knitters today, it's different than when I started knitting. It's different. Everybody wants to be a sweater knitter. Not in my day. In my day, we were accessory knitters first. You will make a lot more progress and produce a lot more items if you start with smaller stuff. Hats, cowls, scarves. Get some accessory knitting going. They'll fly off the needles. It's gonna be so satisfying. So what's the secret to knitting more quickly? Most knitters, especially new knitters, think that knitting more quickly has to do with your hands, moving your hands more quickly. But the real secret is actually knitting more often. There are folks who move their hands more slowly, but get more knitting done because they're just doing it more often. Find pockets of time when you can knit, if that's during your commute, if that's during a work meeting, if that's during your classes at school, if your teacher gives you permission, if that is while you're watching TV before bed, if that is walking the dog. Find more opportunities to knit in your day. So how do you find time to work more projects and more knitting into your everyday? Have more than one project going at a time. And there is such an aversion to non-monogamous knitting within knitting circles. It feels like monogamous knitting is like a moral high ground. Like people will be like, my goal for 2025 is to become a monogamous knitter. And everyone at the knitting circle will like smile and nod like that's good for you. That's amazing. I don't think it's amazing. The key to my knitting productivity is knitting polygamy, is having more than one project going at a time. If I have something that's more complicated on my needles, color work, lace, even something that takes a little bit more focus, like something with some construction details going on, I will also have a simple stockinette project going separately. because you never ever want to be in a position where you're sitting down to watch TV, you're going out to get coffee with friends. You want to have a simple project to work on and you have nothing to reach for because all of your projects are too complicated at that time. In the same note, you always want to have something a little bit more complicated to keep your attention. If I was just knitting stockinette all the time, I'd be bored. I need to have something a little bit more busy going on. But it's more important to just always have a project that is simple stockinette or garter stitch ready to go so that your hands are never idle. You're always busy. That is the way that your projects are going to move forward, is finding little pockets of time and grabbing your project out of your bag. This way you are filling as many pockets of time with knitting as you can, and you are making more progress through your projects more quickly. But the most important takeaway from this whole video, knitting is not a race. There are no awards or prizes. It's not a marathon. And especially in our world of social media, where sharing your knitting online has become a big part of the craft for many people, there can be such a strong urgency and desire to knit more quickly so that you have more content to share. People say it all the time, but it's really true. Like, don't compare yourself to others. Knitting provides the very rare and incredible opportunity to continue learning new things in adulthood, which doesn't come so often, and to express yourself creatively, to find moments of calm, to do something for yourself, to experience a little bit of luxury in your day. Knitting allows you to see yourself grow, and with each project to see a new skill emerge, or your tension become more even, or realize a new trick that you didn't know for your cast on that's going to change things forever. Maybe you invested in a really special skein of cashmere. Maybe you got yourself a very fancy knitting needle set that you're really loving. It's a little bit of a treat yourself in your day. As soon as we start trying to race through our knitting, we lose sight of all those amazing other benefits that it offers. Ask yourself, why actually do I want to knit more quickly? Like, why do I want to knit faster? Is it because I'm watching my hands in slow motion and like they're moving too slowly? I'm guessing that's not what it is. I'm guessing that you want to produce more garments. And if that's because you want to wear more garments, there are ways for you to produce more quickly. But there's also something beautiful about taking your time with it. And if you're watching someone else who you don't even know in real life produce or knit much more quickly than you, I encourage you not to compare. You don't know their situation. Focus on the way knitting makes you feel. Focus on the way your finished objects make you feel. Between you and me, I have knit dozens of sweaters for myself, and I still rotate through the same 2 or 3 for most of the winter. Having 1 or maybe 2 sweaters that you love is totally okay, and you may be getting the same diversity in wardrobe that someone with dozens of sweaters is getting. I'm telling you from personal experience. You don't have to knit more quickly. Just enjoy. Just enjoy the process. If you want to knit more quickly, drop a comment down below and let me know why. Like, what's your motivation? And if you found this video helpful, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, let me know that you enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye.